All right, thank you for staying. You're watching Daybreak on Trust Television. Time now for us to take a look at the next discussion on the program. The migration of health professionals in Africa, medical brain drain, deserves critical attention due to its adverse effects on the healthcare system for developing nations, which indirectly impacts population health outcomes and creates a greater inequality among vulnerable populations. In the case of Nigeria, the international and internal migration of medical doctors has created a great challenge for public health systems. It worsens already weak healthcare systems, which widens the health inequalities gap worldwide. Now, globally, Nigeria ranks among the worst countries in regards to maternal health outcomes, although it represents 2% of the global population. It disproportionately contributes to nearly 10% of global maternal deaths. We are going to be taking a look at this, and we have in the studio Dr. Roland Aibovo, West African Region Commonwealth Medical Association. He joins us to give insight to this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. And let me apologize once again for coming late. I'm actually the Vice President, West African Region of the Commonwealth Medical Association.
Okay. So, all right, good to see you. Well, let's talk about this. How serious is this issue of brain drain as regards the medical profession these days, as we have it from where you stand from your organization standpoint?
All right. Excuse me. If I have to be very frank, it's really, really serious. It's serious in the sense that this medical brain drain, we've been on it as an association, that's Nigerian Medical Association, even globally, about migration of healthcare workers from one country to another. And for over the years, we've raised issues, as we've raised drew government's attention to it, that this movement of healthcare practitioners from Nigeria to other countries for so many reasons is really not good for our health system. But unfortunately, our government have paid lip service to it. And of course, you know that at a point, that was in 2017 or thereabout, the then Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, made a comment about doctors getting to do other things like farming, tailoring, and all of those stuff. Even the Labour Minister, Senator Dr. Chris Igige, also made a statement at the point that we have so many doctors so we can export. But the truth of the matter is that as at 3 years ago, we have a ratio of 1 doctor to almost 6,000 patients, where the WHO standard is a doctor to 400 to 600 patients. We have a ratio of 1 to almost 6,000 patients, and which is a far cry to the standard practice or the standard ratio of a doctor to a patient. And even with the movement of doctors, has even made it worse. As at 2 weeks ago, it was a ratio of 1 to 10,000. And I'll tell you, when you see a doctor today, a nurse or a lab scientist and all of that, many people in administration will actually tell the truth about all of this, because every now and then they keep receiving letters of resignation. Like I think towards the end of the last month, December, even Ibadan, University College Hospital have to cry out that doctors are leaving. They are even calling doctors to even come and take up employment, whether you have to come into residency program, whether you have passed the exam to go into the program or not, just come because they needed the manpower.
Dr. Aibovo, every day we keep getting the statistics of doctors leaving the country. 2 days ago, the National Association of Resident Doctors said about 85% of the doctors are planning to leave the country.
That's very correct.
Yes, which is alarming. Yeah. But then some persons will say that the medical profession doctors fare better than other professionals in Nigeria. And some persons will argue that the medical profession, yes, they may not be getting everything that they need, but their sector may not be as neglected as other sectors. So if you put that side by side, the general economy of the country, should the doctors be living as much as they're living?
Let me attend to that. Let me speak to that question in this direction. First and foremost, there's freedom of movement. Nobody is chained to anything that you must stay in one particular place and all of those stuff. And mind you, even this migration is not even peculiar to Nigeria or low and medium income countries. Even the high income countries also, doctors are even moving from the UK to the Canada and all of those stuff. Yeah, but to speak to that, you know, there's what I call the pull and push factor. Yes, doctors or healthcare workers might fare better than other workers, but if you also look at the kind of work we do, the kind of risk or hazards we are exposed to, I don't think, yes, every profession or every profession has their own risk and all of that, but I believe that we are more exposed, especially to diseases and all of those stuff. Yeah, and the nature of our work. I will give you an example. As a doctor, I resume 8 a.m. at work, so I'm closed by 4. If I'm on call, I have to continue working from 4 to 8 a.m. the next day, and the next day, 8 a.m., I will resume the work for the next day. I don't think there is any work, any profession that runs that kind of crazy schedule. That is one.
You know what? Okay, go ahead. Maybe.
All right. The second thing now is that because we have so many, how would I put it now? So many lapses in our system with respect to infrastructure and even remuneration. I believe that if I put in so much hours into doing a particular thing, I should get a, how will I put it now? A commensurate remuneration to what I'm doing, and that is not there. And then we are getting offers from other countries like tax-free salaries and all of those
exactly
stuff,
I was going to say that maybe it's because the offers, they appear juicy that these doctors are leaving, not necessarily because of the condition at home. Maybe the offers are very, very juicy.
I will tell you the condition at home is inclusive. That's why I said for so many reasons doctors are moving. Yes, I won't shy away from that responsibility for greener pastures. It is. That is one. Then two, there are a whole lot of facilities that we don't have here. Imagine sending a doctor outside the country to go and train, and after training, you are coming back to do nothing. Many of our specialists have to buy their equipment to be using in government hospitals for those that don't run private hospitals after getting these skills. Because the joy of every professional is to be able to pass the knowledge which you have acquired. The situation whereby you don't have those facilities to pass, to even work with, not to talk of passing the law, you feel discouraged. I know of so many doctors who have gone outside the country to train, came back to practice, and unfortunately they have to go back because there's nothing to work with. Apart from working, you know, medical practice is a team. And if, as a specialist, you're supposed to have a team. And if your team is not complete, believe you me, that specialist or that team will not function well because every person has his own responsibility.
You know, the issue that Stella raised earlier, I would like to, you know, maybe touch on it again.
Yeah.
It points to the issue of, you know, those who have made the arguments about patriotism among medical practitioners in Nigeria. Yeah. She talks about, yes, if you look at the general economics state in the country, virtually every professional is struggling. You know, the system is not as rewarding as it should be. Yeah. You lack the equipment. I mean, we were in this country when we had academics, you know, go on strike for as much as 8 months, and the issues are still not resolved. Yeah. Working condition is very poor, and the rest of them. Yes, in their own part, we've also heard about them leaving as well. But the issue about patriotism, where does patriotism come in here, in this whole conversation about brain drain?
I think the question we should be asking is, who is really patriotic? Right from the #1 citizen of the country to the least. Who is really patriotic? You know, we see patriotism as a burden, if I may use that word. But the truth of the matter is that even those that are leaving this country are patriotic too. Because I was just going through some statistics yesterday. I saw foreign, what do they call it again? Foreign reserve or foreign investment, okay, with repatriation of funds and all of those stuff. I saw India having close to over $100 billion. And Nigeria has like 20-something billion dollars and all of those stuff that Nigerians living outside the country are pulling back to the country. So they're pulling that fund back to the country, shows some level of patriotism.
Okay, doctor, in Nigeria, medical students
Yeah.
To train a medical student in Nigeria is far cheaper than training a medical student abroad. And in Nigeria, some state governments subsidize the training of these doctors. In fact, when that thing they pay bursary by state governments, the one that goes to medical doctors, the medical students, is usually higher than other people in other professions.
I agree with you.
And so all of this put together, it still boils down to the issue of patriotism. You get all of this, and then after everything, you abandon the country and the people.
Yeah. Yes, medical education generally in Nigeria is highly subsidized. I agree with you. I was fortunate to have undertaken some training outside the country. I know what it cost me to undertake that training and all of that. But, you know, we are faced with this reality that as a doctor or as a healthcare practitioner, you are working, giving your best and everything. You are still living in, I would call it poverty. You know, it's a mind thing. If I cannot take care of myself, then I don't see any reason why I should be able to take care of any other person. So bursary and all of that, even the salary structure and all of those stuff, is still not enough to actually give us something that at least we should be proud of, to say, okay, because of this, I will stay back.
Don't you see this as a general problem?
Well, it's a general problem, I agree. But, you know, I cannot speak for others if others cannot speak for themselves. You understand? I will say because it's a general problem that I should remain where I am when I'm not happy. If I'm not happy doing my work, the patient life is at risk. That is the truth.
So doctor, taking into consideration the current economic situation of the country, what would the doctors consider a livable condition that will make them stay?
Okay, now, if you say a livable condition, first and foremost, I would say that, yes, we are being paid, we have our own salary structure that we're being paid. But I also believe that another reason why even many healthcare professionals are leaving is the taxation. Now, we have a salary structure that virtually all allowances are taxed. At the end of the day, your net salary is like something that you cannot even live on. That is one. Two, there are a whole lot of entitlements that are due us that we have to fight, either by the threat of strike or outright going on strike before these things are being paid. Yes, many of those things were to actually make life a little bit better for us, but they are giving it to us, or they propose giving it to us, and also withholding it. You don't prepare my mind to say, okay, I will give you this, and at the end of the day, you are not giving it to me. I have to fight to get it. Many people don't have that energy. And more so, many of our people that have left this country outside, and we interact with them, and they see the kind of life they live there.
Doctor, I will have to stop there.
Okay.
I saw a video not too long ago of this doctor that left Nigeria, went to the UK, and he was complaining that they were giving longer hours than their counterparts who were white. And I mean, he just kept on complaining. I saw a lot of comments that followed it. Some people were like, don't worry, it doesn't matter. I don't mind the long hours and everything. But the impression I got from that doctor on social media was that it's not Uhuru out there.
And there are numerous of those videos.
Yes,
exactly.
It's not Uhuru over there, but believe you me, the worst condition over there is better than the first here. For the issue of hours, you know, over there everything is institutionalized. There's a particular number of hours you can work. You're not supposed to exceed that. And the system over there is well made that here, if you like, you work 72 hours straight, nobody questions you. Whether you are mentally fit to handle that task or not, nobody cares. So long as you are there, let them see you, physically you are there. If spiritually you are not there or not, nobody cares. And at the end of the day, people are amenable to errors. So the issue of, I'm not saying it's all rosy over there, but everybody that have left has a reason for leaving the country. All of them has plans. Nobody just woke up one day and said, oh, I'm leaving this country, except you are not going there to practice. So before you even leave, say that you are writing the foreign exams like for UK PLAB or USMLE for US and all of those stuff. You have prepared, you've passed the exam, you have the requisite registration, documents and even registration over there before many leaves. And once they get there, they start working and earning a living.
Okay, very recently, the Minister of Health, Dr. Osagio Ahanire, talks about engaging Nigerian doctors who are abroad, who have traveled, outside the country to, work with, the Nigerian institutions and the rest of them. What do you make of that? How practical is that? I mean, these were the same people who were here, and now they've traveled out and then want to re-engage them from wherever they are. How do you react to this?
The problem with Nigeria and the government is that they really don't. I don't want to sound insulting, but before you carry out any policy and all of that, you look at the feasibility. Let me give you an example. This new Naira note. If the deadline we were supposed to hold on to was today, 2 weeks ago, I didn't expect any of the bank ATM to be dispensing the old notes. Even as at last week, the bank ATM was still dispensing old notes. What about those rural areas that don't have any access to banks and all of that have money? What is the plan for them to actually return all of this? So the point I'm trying to make is that saying you want to bring in foreign doctors and all of those Nigerian doctors have gone abroad to come back. First and foremost, have you addressed the reason why doctors are leaving in the first place? That is one. Two, you are bringing them from abroad to Nigeria to work with what? Have we improved on our infrastructure for these people to work with? Or is it just going there to bring them and say, okay, go to any hospital and start practicing? We should understand the fact that our healthcare system is not as developed as other the high-income countries. So most of the equipment and most of the facilities they have there, we don't have it here. And I keep saying this anyway, one of the best motive at improving the healthcare system in this country was during Obasanjo's regime. The VAMED structure, where they try to revamp the hospitals and all of those, to try to bring in new infrastructure and all that. But how many of these actions towards improving the health infrastructure have been sustained over the years? None. Part of the reason why even resident doctors go on strike is even part of it infrastructure. You see a situation whereby a hospital, supposed secondary tertiary institution, where there is no light, they have to be operating with torchlight and all of those stuff. Sometimes even hospitals have to be rationing lights, power generation. If there's no light from the AEDs and all of that, okay, from so and so time to so and so time, we need to put on the gen, and the gen goes up this particular time and all of this. This is a health facility.
All right.
Are we really prepared for that? That is one. Two, those in the country have not been able to meet up with their remuneration and all of this stuff. Or is it bringing those people in now to now start paying them this peanut and any here? I don't think so.
Well, this is where we would have to end it. Well, thank you so much for joining the Daybreak Show and sharing your insight with us. Dr. Roland Aigbovo, he is the Vice President of the West African Region Commonwealth Medical Association. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.